physical universe. And again, when I say physical universe, I'm referring to the cosmos, the galaxies, and etc. That is so insignificant, as if to say there was no creation at all, not even the blink of an eye in your lifetime. How many times do you blink your eye? Do you know? In a minute? In a lifetime? How significant it is once one blink of the eye. And the whole creation, which is infinite from our perspective, is being nourished and sustained with the breath of Hashem. So it is true when we study Torah, there's a more of an energy, there's more of a divine energy that comes from Chachma into speech. But in order for it to actually materialize, in order for the trees should grow, we need an additional form of drawing forth to bring out this divine energy and to bring it lower and lower. And the way we do it is with acts of kindness. Okay, so we're in the middle of the page just about, and it's the fifth word on the line right after the dot. Over there, with this, we'll understand what the Arizal taught. Sheesh Beis, meaning Neshamis Yisrael, there are two different types of Neshamis, two different types of, it's like prototypes, two different souls in Israel. There are the Neshamis, Tamid Chachama, Eskem B'Torah Kol Yameim. There are those Neshamis, which are of the scholarly, and they occupy themselves with Torah all the days of their life. And obviously they have the effect of sustaining creation. And then there are other neshamis, which is really the majority. Neshamis, balei mitzvahs, and then there are the neshamis of those that do the mitzvahs. So eskem b'tzitzkas u'gmilas chasadim, that occupy themselves with charity and works of goodness. It's clear that everyone has to do everything. In other words, the Talmud Chacham has to give charity, the charitable man has to study Torah. The question is, what do they do? What is their primary focus? So there are those neshamis, which when they're in a body, their mission in life is to study Torah. And by doing so, there's the effect of God gives more, opens up or reveals more wisdom, chachma, which in turn waters speech. So so Talmid Chachamim are building the world because the world was created with speech. Because they're wise and they're studying the wisdom of the Torah, as we mentioned a couple of minutes ago, the wisdom that when you have a great idea now and you understand it well, now you could talk about it. So the wisdom of the Torah strengthens the speech of Hashem that went into creation, and they're building the world. But the acts of kindness that we do draw is down further. So, and the Rebbe says this over here. The Lechera, at first glance, even Talmid Chacham have to work and occupy themselves with deeds of kindness. As the sages of blessed memory spoke, Shafilu Torah Ele, because if a person says, no, I don't want to do any deeds of kindness, I will just simply study an entire day Torah. Says the Talmud, on such a person, even the Torah he does not have. In other words, not only is he lacking kindness, but he's even lacking Torah. So what does it mean that there are two different types of souls? Each type of soul, the one that does kindness has to study, the one that studies has to do kindness. But he explains, Talmud Chacham Sheterasam Iker, that the Talmud Chacham, the wise Torah scholar, Sheterasam Iker, the main thing is their Torah, V'reiv Yamei Ba, most of their days, is involved in Torah study, umiyat yameim b'gemilas chasadim, just with a little bit of their days, are they involved with gemilas chasadim, acts of kindness. So hine pa'ulas asra usam de lasata, so the effect of their arousal from below, la'er chesed elyon, which is going to awaken divine chesed lahamshech, to draw forth ulaherid, and to bring down ein sof, the light of the infinite, hamalumash b'chachmei ilah, which is enclosed in supernal wisdom, makir teres Hashem shebefiyam, which is the source of Hashem's Torah, which is in their mouth. So yes, they are able to bring forth a divine flow, but you know where the divine flow ends? To in a spiritual world, in the world of neshamis, that's found in the world of creation. And it could be brought down further. They leave with Mishnah. When they study the Mishnah, they could draw down this idea of Chachma up to Yetzirah. And the reason why, through study of Torah, they could strengthen the worlds in which there are souls and angels, is because the life force of the world of angels and the world of souls, nishpais, are directly influenced. They are immediately or effectively touched through the combination of the letters of Torah, of the oral tradition. Umakara Esies, and the source of all of these letters, comes from Chachma. But we are living not in the world of souls or in the world of angels. We are living in the physical world. So 4 lines from the bottom. But to draw down an illumination and a life force from Hashem's breath, Hey Tata, which is the second letter Hey of the Yud Kei Vav Kei, La'olam Hazah Hashafel, to this lowly world, Shush Simsim Gadol B'Yesa Az, where the contraction is very intense. For this, Leidai Basusul L'Satla Shatamid Chachamim Ha'eskim B'Miyat Yameim B'Stalka Gemilas Chasadim. With this, it's not enough an awakening from the Talmud Chacham that do a little bit of kindness. Ella Yedei Asrusu the Balei Mitzvahs. Rather, it has to come through an awakening of those that do the mitzvahs. Turn to page 218 on top. Ha'eskim Reb Yameim B'Tzedakah Gemilas Chasadim, who occupied most of their days with Tzedakah and Gemilas Chasadim, as it says, Kameshkasa B'Kuti Amarim B'Chelik Aleph, Perek Lamed, as it says in Tanya, chapter 31. And therefore, Nikro Tamchi Eraisa, therefore they're called the supporters or the upholders of the Torah. Ve'hein Bechinas Madreges Netzach v'Hoid, and they are on the level of Netzach and Hoid, which are the Sefirot, which are auxiliary to Chesed and Gvura, L'Yesem Mamshichem Hater L'Mata L'Masiyah. Okay, maybe I should spend a minute or two on this idea of Netzach v'Hoid. Before I do it, again, let me quickly summarize. We're talking about what keeps creation going? And the answer is Hashem. Hashem, the creator, is keeping his creation in how do you say it? I guess functioning. He keeps his creation functioning. We are taught already from the second part of second part of Tanya. It's explained at length. It's a Hasidic tenet, comes from Holy the Baal Shem Tov, that it's not like Hashem created the world and supervises, but rather every moment there is another creation. Okay. To coin a phrase, to use a phrase, why would Hashem pay attention to what he created? he created, and then he could go away from it, so to speak, because what he created in absolute proportion to the greatness of the creator is not something that he would look at a second time, right? So a tremendously great architect or builder is not going to go back and look at the Legos that he made when he was 3 years old. That's his parents thought how great he was. He was able to make a Lego village, but this is not something that he's going to go back and revisit. He is designing skyscrapers and helping design cities, not Lego. So why would Hashem, who create the world, is less than a Lego to him? Why would he continue creating? So the answer is this is Hashem's will, but in order for this is Hashem's will to continue creating, and what brings forth from Hashem the will to create is as if to say the nachas he has from the Jewish people. What do? When they study Torah and they're involved with Hashem's wisdom, so Hashem uses, again, the wisdom that he has to invigorate creation through the 10 sayings. And when the nachas he gets, when he watches us do kindness, awakens within him the desire to do kindness as well. And the greatest kindness is that he keeps creation functioning. Not only functioning, but efficiently. The question is, why do we need both? Why can't it simply be enough to study Torah, which awakens Hashem's wisdom? I don't know if the word is awakens, maybe arouses or calls attention, but it connects to Hashem's wisdom. Why do we have to do acts of kindness as well? So he explains that within this world of creation, which is a breath of Hashem, there are gradations. So from our perspective, not from the perspective of the Creator, because the greatest angel and a speck of dust is equal in terms of how valuable they are or how much effort it took for Hashem to create. But from our perspective, the human perspective, a speck of dust and the archangel Michael cannot be compared. One is infinitely more powerful, more holy, more spiritual, closer to God, etc., etc. A speck of dust is nothing. It's not even significant to a human being. How much more so not significant to an angel? How much more so not significant to Hakodesh Baruch Hu himself? So when we study Torah, and it is the will of Hashem that when we study his Torah, his wisdom is aroused to give forth strength, to give forth life. That would only be enough to keep alive the spiritual worlds. And in a sense, it makes a lot of sense because study of Torah is a spiritual exercise. It uses the highest form of humanity, which is his mind. And of the thoughts, you could use your mind to make a tasty pizza. That's also using your mind. But to use your mind to understand the mysteries of the Creator, that is the highest form of using the mind. So a person studies Torah, which is Hashem's wisdom, God allows his own wisdom, in italics, to be awakened, and he strengthens creation, because I say this again, because the wisdom strengthens speech, right? An intelligent person will speak intelligently. A silly person or an idiot, even if he talks, his words are meaningless. So Hashem, when his wisdom will be aroused, he will strengthen his intelligent speech, which is the 10 sayings, let there be sun and moon and trees and flowers and humans and angels. He'll strengthen that, and the all of creation will be strengthened. But because the arousal is coming from Chokhmah, it will only nourish the spiritual aspects of creation. But when one person picks up someone who's on the floor, does an act of kindness, that's a very physical act of kindness. That awakens that Hashem's kindness should materialize in the physical world. So we have, in general, in order to keep creation functioning properly, we have, in general, two types, two personalities. A minority of the Jews are in the level of study of Torah with only a little bit of deeds of kindness, and the majority are with deeds of kindness with a little bit of Torah. Okay. Therefore, without deeds of kindness, we could not have the physical world as we know it, though theoretically we could still have the spiritual worlds of neshamis and of malachim. So, tamchei deoraisa, those that support the Torah, are actually indispensable to those that study the Torah. Because it's not only the supporters of Torah allow the Torah scholars to pay their mortgage, it's more than that. Without those that are supporting the Torah scholars cannot create a physical existence, because their Torah study nourishes and strengthens the letters of creation in the spiritual worlds. Taimchei De'eraisa are actually bringing what the Talmud Chacham has accomplished by bringing the wisdom of God from beyond to the world of Bria and Yetzira. The Tamchei De'eraisa brings it down to the world of Asiya. And this is the idea of Netzach and Haid. The word Netzach literally means victory or to prevail. And Haid, it's always translated as splendor, but that's really, they've changed the definition a lot. It really means to acknowledge. Okay. Without going into this at length, it's not enough to feel compassion in your mind. You have to bring it into your heart. So if intellectually you understand that your cousin who you dislike is a Rachmanis, you should not be angry with him, but you should really feel compassion for him. I don't want to use the word pity, but you should feel compassion for him. So in your mind, you say to yourself, cousin Johnny, who's a real nebuch, and we should do something to help him. That's the way it is in your mind. Well, my friends, from the mind to the heart is a big, big jump. So you have to think about this a lot. And you got to force yourself, so to speak, to awaken an emotion. Until in your heart, you say, you know what, I'm beginning to feel it. Johnny really needs my help. So now you got it from Chabad, from the intellectual part, to Chagas, Chesed, Gevura, Teferes. You got it into your heart. But you know what? You haven't yet called him up. And it's amazing. You want to do what's right, but every single time you're ready to call him to say, come, I'll give you a job, even though you know he's not going to be a very good worker, something stops you. Now, again, and you're worried, you're busy, you just can't make the phone call. Why can't you make the phone call? Because the emotion that you have is real and genuine, but it remains within. So for that, you need netzach, you need victory. You have to force yourself to take the kindness that's in your heart and bring it out into a physical action. And the same thing would be, that while you're thinking of giving him the job, you're also sort of judging him in your mind in a good way. I don't want to overwhelm him. So that's already gevura. That's already holding back. I don't want to give him the biggest job. I don't want to give him the biggest salary. He's going to ruin it. I have to find something that he could. So you're not alternating. You're dealing with two emotions, the emotions to give and the emotions to hold back. Both of them are correct because the goal is compassion, beauty. So again, in your mind, first you start with your mind, chabad, then it goes into your heart, chagas, and then to actually do this, to make the phone call, but not to say everything in the phone call, you need netzach, victory, and hoid, an acknowledgement, which actually is splendid, it's actually beautiful, but an acknowledgement that what you're doing is the right thing to do. And then when you the actual phone call itself, could be considered bonding. You're bonding with the person, and the language that you use is the kingship speech, which I don't want to get into right now. So when those people do, when those people do acts of kindness, we're able to awaken within Hashem the desire to do kindness in a physical level, that people should be healthy, it should be a beautiful day, it should rain when it's supposed to, etc., which is using netzach and hoid, right? Not the way it remains within, but the actual fruition, the actual product of kindness, which will go through netzach and hoid. To use sort of different language, every idea starts with the abstract. It comes into the real, if you want to call it, but it doesn't become concrete until you use the third level of netzach, hoid, and yesod. So we'll end off with this beautiful thought that every time we do an act of kindness, and incidentally, it doesn't say to whom. So it could be to your starting, and it should start from your own family and your own neighbors and your own community, and you spread outwards. Every act of kindness awakens within the heavenly spheres a corresponding act of kindness, and by doing so, creation is nourished and sustained. Let me wish you all a very wonderful Shabbos. The Shabbos Mubarachim is the Shabbos that blesses the upcoming month of Tammuz. May it be a month of great blessing and of great health. Shalom.
Thank you very much.
Very well.